And we're back in Mexico for the Verizon post-game interview with Mac. I'm sorry, things didn't go well for you guys today, but let's roll back a bit and talk me through the preparation for this game, because mid-jungle had a lot of responsibility, but with the comp you were playing, falling back in the early game would mean that it was, I don't want to say impossible, but really hard to come back. Can you talk me through why you drafted like this and the expectations you had coming in this game?
Sure. So, I mean, I don't think the first 8 minutes were a problem at all.
Yeah.
First 8 minutes were fine. Draft-wise, I mean, Aatrox is just a big power pick for a lot of teams at the moment, right? So that's pretty self-explanatory, and from there it's just rounding out a comp that, like, fits well with him, right? So I don't think it's any, like, you know, particular magic that we're employing against RNG specifically. But yeah, I mean, the game kind of went really wrong at, like, post-Herald, where they ended up like freezing bot wave for ages, and then we died on mid, and then they took a bunch on bot, and then the game is really, really hard. But I think the game's in a really good spot at 8 minutes, actually. I
was about to say Copium, maybe, but things went not that bad, honestly. I mean, for me, there's a lot of positives to take from this game, but what's your take on this?
I mean, I'm happy with how well the players did, like, staying in it. But yeah, it was really rough. Like, right, when Graves got fed, it's so hard. Like, this guy's just eating forwards and one-shotting us on the mid wave. So that was really, really, really tough. So yeah, I mean, a lot of it came down to fight execution, but considering how far ahead they were, not bad. Like, the big takeaway from us this game is, I think I would adapt my second round bans differently in the future, and I think that cost us a lot, certainly in this game. I think it made the game a lot harder for us to play than it should have been. So, I mean, that's my bad. And then a lot of it is, like, literally that one bot wave after Herald and then fight execution. But yeah, considering how far ahead they were, I think we executed the fights pretty decently.
It is how it is. And I mean, DRX in 2 days, we'll see how this one goes. But before talking about this matchup, last time we saw each other in the LEC during playoffs, it didn't go so well for you guys. But how much do you think the team improved and grew since then in the preparation for Worlds?
I think we have made a decent step up. I mean, I will be honest, I don't think we showed it particularly well in our last 2 games. Like, our last 2 games were so sloppy. But I'm kind of used to that at play-ins or at Worlds. Like, it feels like that's always the first few days. The first few days are always like a massive fiesta. And I think that kind of goes for every team, right? So I think the quality will slowly start to ramp up, but definitely we've made some big strides. I think this patch is a lot better for us, to be fair, so that will naturally make us look stronger. And I think we've put a lot of work into champion pools. People are working really, really, really hard. The whole team's super motivated. So, I mean, I'm happy with our progress so far, but, you know, we still need to show it, right?
It echoes to what Niski and Ornn were saying to me yesterday during the interview, but as you said, it's about finding the momentum at the right time. DRX is next. We talked about how difficult this group may be, so can you give me some specifics maybe about this game, and how do you expect this one to go?
I mean, so far DRX look pretty good. But like I said, I mean, it's a BO1, right? Like, I don't think that, I don't really want to go too deep into specifics on DRX, right? But I don't think that we need to particularly be afraid of anyone, to be honest. I mean, we're certainly not going to go into the game thinking like that, right? I mean, sure, maybe DRX are favorites against us, maybe they're not. Obviously, they beat RNG yesterday, which makes them seem a bit more scary, but whatever.
You have 2 days to prep. No doubt you'll be ready. Mac, thank you for the interview.
Very much.
Good luck on the next game. And back to you guys in LA.
Thanks, Laura, for the great interview there. And welcome to the State Farm Neighborhood Tactics. Next game is going to be DRX versus Istanbul Wildcats. And Istanbul Wildcats have yet to take a win in the tournament. Now, when I was watching them domestically in their finals there versus Fenerbahce, what I thought was the key to their success there was actually Ferret's early pathing. His first clear, oftentimes very creative, thought process going into them always made sense to me. And every time there was an angle, if their bot lane was looking to get dove early, he would be there to cover it. And I'm going to highlight a few of the early game pathings that we saw in the domestic final, and then what we have seen so far in this tournament. So let's start this one off here. This one in particular, actually, I'll just go straight from the start because a little bit of a spoiler there. What we see here from Wukong is that he takes specifically Red, Raptors, Gromp, and then he looks to invade, recognizing that Serin has a push in the lane, and then he impacts Seonghwan and then pushes him off red buff so he can end up taking the steal. His bot lane is basically hovering, not fully committing, but is basically helping him in his way. And he gets a little greedy. He's like, okay, you know what? This is looking good for me. I'm, in fact, going to be taking Raptors at the same time, simply because he knew that Juhan ended up going towards his Krugs. So this actually ended up working really well for them in this early game, in this specific game. This one was the first game in the series, and it, netted them a win. So that's a big win for them here. He ends up taking it. A little bit cheeky. Let's go to the next one. This one, different angle. He's on Xin Zhao this time. And this is in game 2, where he goes for red, loops around, the classic play, ends up finding the pick on towards Carry and Bao, who is, by the way, for Fenerbahce, the highlight for this team, nets HolyPhoenix and Farfetch an early advantage and starts them on the path. This happens nearly every game for Ferret. But then, oh yeah, I got another one actually. This one I'll speed along simply because it was just a good call from StarScreen to look for a dive. It doesn't end up working up. It forces a TP here for Still Numb. And eventually you get the picture. Domestically, Ferret is on point, constantly looking for early action. Now we've kind of fast forward into Worlds versus Saigon Buffalo. And we already just saw the last play where he goes red, straight to bot. This time, I think maybe Saigon Buffaloes had done a little bit of work. Taki and Shogun playing respectfully here. So when the gank ends up coming through, mistimed. Farfetch is not able to get him. Shogun able to get away, and he gets stunned under turret. It's a bit of a wash. That one's done. We go into the next play. And so that sucks. They actually end up falling behind. Now, you kind of remember this play. At the end of the day, Taki ends up giving it back to them. But, redemption time for Ferret. He kind of goes back. First clear. Look at this. Raptors, red, Gromp. This time he invades the Raptor camp. This is going up against Elyoya in their Mad Lions game. Well, Elyoya recognizes there's not much he can do. Serin is right next to him. But Elyoya says, wait a minute. As he's pathing back up, he says, wait, Niski is going to have push. He can call for Alistar and Kaisa to do the same. And who has the better 4v4? So then, I'm going to fast forward this. Elyoya, feeling pretty empowered here, recognizing that he's going to get the push from Sylas. So you see Sylas and the Trundle, the Hail of Blades Kaisa and the Alistar. He likes his chances here, and he takes the fight, pushes Ferret off. Well done from Kaiser, by the way, because you can actually end up seeing here, both of the junglers do not have smite, but Kaiser is just going to completely zone Ferret off. And at the end of the day, both gambits have not worked out for this team. Something that had been so successful for them in their finals has been really hurting them. So I really do hope, because I've been loving Ferret's game so far, that he's able to pick himself back up, maybe find more intent in those plays that really made their finals game so successful, and they might take a win. It's going to be a tall task. They're going up against DRX. I want to hear the opinions of the casters for the next one. It's going to be Freak and Dagda.
My opinion is your hair is on point, Rez.
Raz is just on point in general.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
He's a stylish man.
It makes standing very uncomfortable. You'd rather have, like a lot of spot to stand on, but he's on point at all times. I don't know, that was really bad. Well, thankfully, most people watch VOD from the start of the game, not Stamps Flag, but everyone live, I'm sorry to deal with that. We are on to the Rift, though, and Kalista was left up on the ban table, so grabs right away for HolyPhoenix. Caitlyn is still the ban, overtakes as the most banned champion in the game now, I believe, so she's first place. Grats Pick'ems holders. Maokai, though, comes through yet again, and MissFortune very strong.
Curious to see now how this is going to pan out, because it definitely feels like for HolyPhoenix, getting his hands on the Kalista is a big win for Istanbul Wildcats. HolyPhoenix has done incredibly well when he's on these more aggressive picks like the Kalista, the Samira, these kind of things. We've also seen the Kalista ban away 76% of the time against Istanbul Wildcats. They do not get their hands on that. And now you got StarScreen kind of going back towards a late game tank in that top side. Serin going to get his hands on a carry as well. It feels like both Serin and HolyPhoenix, who've been a bit of the lifeblood of this squad, on 2 picks they're very happy with.
So Azir is going to come through. Happy to play full team fight. Okay, Kalista's early game pressure, but Ornn and Azir signal, hey, we got some team fight power in this one. The scaling's going to look good. Overall, definitely a scary comp, and it suddenly puts a lot of pressure on DRX to find something interesting to do here. Zeka, of course, has been truly outstanding and says, you have late game, but, got myself a Sylas. Ooh, and Akali maybe I'll kill you in side lane.
Yeah, either way, I've been so impressed with Zeka when he's able to get his hands on these assassins. Even back when he was on Vici game, he started off with things like the Azir or these assassins that he played incredibly strong on, and we're seeing that continue now that he's on to DRX as well. So Akali going to be picked up here. You've got a very strong the Maokai in the jungle is going to be very strong alongside that. If you want to look towards early skirmishes, especially if you can get Zeka a bit of an early lead, Deft going to be able to have a great impact at these early team fights as well. So bot side skirmishing looking quite strong for DRX right now.
We go to the second phase of bans right now. Junglers likely desynced. Of course, Maokai is a triple flex. But I'm expecting a jungle as the Lee Sin ban comes through. We already saw Sejuani, flexible jungler, Hecarim and Poppy, Lee Sin. Could be 5 straight jungle bans here to the side of DRX.
And I think it's a good shout. I mean, especially when we're talking about Ferret, who, well, Raz highlighted on the desk, we want to see him step up. Getting him uncomfortable will be great, but just going to be the Renata now taken away from that pairing with the Kalista. Still leaves things like the J4 if Ferret wants to go back towards that available for him, but we haven't really seen him go towards things like the Graves, or he is much more about facilitating his lanes more so than he is about being a carry in and of himself.
Indeed the case. Top lane ban coming through as well as they're looking at ways of dealing with the Ornn. He says, actually, okay, fine, Alistar is one, but you can still pick and engage support as BeryL runs over to Amumu. Curse the sad bullet time. An incredibly strong combo, and now in its own bottom lane. Back in the days, used to be bot lane plus jungle, but now, they're joined to the hip. And it's going to make team fights scary. It actually makes it look pretty decent. Cutting through the Ornn's going to be hard, but if everyone else is in range, it's going to look okay for you. MF also a natural Kraken Slayer builder now is actually have decent frontline damage as a result. So they do have some tools dealing with Istanbul Wildcats' composition. Trundle comes in as some more frontline, targeting the Maokai. And now they need to round out with the support.
Yeah, I imagine it'd be a Leona, something along those lines, that can at least threaten the MissFortune on the back line, but also provide good engage alongside the Ornn, but set up the Kalista, the Trundle for this bot side. Especially if you can burn some summoner spells early on towards Deft, it becomes very easy, excuse me, for a Trundle pillar to come down into that bottom side of the map and set up for a little bit more. BeryL going to be potentially picked up here. No, it will be the Leona.
You were right.
I much prefer this. I think just having that solar flare that can actually interrupt Deft is going to play big wins for Istanbul Wildcats in some of these skirmishes.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid looking composition. They've definitely got real team fight power and some decent pressure in the bottom lane. Expect them to win here. Generally speaking, Amumu lanes, he is not a very naturally tanky tank. Like he's recovered without the way out. Like he's really good at starting it, but you hope you're winning the fight at the very beginning, because otherwise he is instantly popping. It very commonly goes glacial as well, so he doesn't even have to take a keystone. Gnar going to be the final answer here. Actually, a pretty safe option. I think it should have lane pressure certainly and some team fight power. But it feels like there's a lot more sort of X factor required for DRX. The conventional team fight is so easy to pilot for Wildcats.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think that a lot of that is going to be coming from HolyPhoenix as well. I've been hit or miss whenever I see teams that are willing to go for the Azir and the Kalista, because when you want to try and play for a lot of these early skirmishes, Azir isn't really a mid laner that wants to try and play for that. So you're much more settled on like, hey, we're going to play off the priority that these two picks can bring. So if Ferret can kind of time that, and if Istanbul Wildcats are able to find that to set up for dragons, set up for fights for themselves, they're in a good spot. But honestly, I think for Istanbul, like, kind of screw with the Azir, let Serin do his thing in the mid lane and just all in and try to play through this 3v3 on the bottom side.
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. Trundle should be good into both Amumu and MissFortune. If you haven't blown Pillar, you can just knock her out of bullet time faster than even like Leona could do it. You probably have the fastest knockup available in League of Legends with Trundle E, so if you're watching and you're ready for it, you just kind of kill the ult every time. And also, they both have no natural escapes. MF wants to go Kraken Slayer, so can't even like Gale Force the Pillar. You just get to go for whomever, so yeah, if you have any tracking at all on Juhan, you're like, okay, Maokai is definitely top side on Raptors right now. Well, bam, off to go into your bottom lane, and you're at least blowing a flash if not killing the champion outright. So, like, I can see such a path forward where you get any info at all, 3v2 bot lane, it's a kill. It's a flash, it's a kill after. You know, you do the next time, you do it 2 minutes later. We'll see if that comes through, but I do think compositionally, this feels like a comp that is easy to play. I think the tools can work. The problem is you are against the only, I believe now, undefeated team, the first place team in the group, DRX 2-0. They have been doing so well for themselves. See if Istanbul Wildcats can find themselves a win in their third game.
And especially for DRX as well, who we are already kind of saying earlier on when we saw them play, taking a level up, it feels like in their gameplay where they are more calculated, they are thinking through their decisions significantly more and coming in well set up and well prepared for objectives. When you're playing a composition like this, it feels like you're going to need to do so again. BeryL fishing here.
Ooh, yeah, that was nearly so spicy because you're going to get a lot of damage to that one. HolyPhoenix probably got the tower just in time, but that would still hurt a lot and might have had to burn his cleanse regardless. So nice try. Means nothing though.
Yeah, and look, you'll see Istanbul Wildcats try to see if they can maybe get some vision control down, knowing that the Akali had moved down towards that bottom side, but all said and done, just going to go for the bit more shallow ward. Ferret will still be pathing down towards this bot side, and again, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ferret go for, blue, Gromp, red into a bot side gank, especially when Deft with the Make of Rain will try and push that wave in.
Worth noting that Ferret gets started his jungle camps entirely unknown. There is 0 deep vision that's relevant here for the DRX side, and he goes leashless onto the blue. So it could have been a red start into, blue, like red-blue Gromp gank top suddenly, and like Gnar, if doesn't have hop, just kind of dies randomly. Or it could be, a fast towards bot side. We'll see what he goes for. It could even be a full clear, so info not there. Info definitely here that Juhan is indeed on Raptors. They may have not seen the champion, but I think no one's on Raptors this early without doing red Raptors, so they know he's pathing bot side.
And I like the ward from Serin as well, just outside the Raptors. It actually just died there, but just, okay, DRX haven't gotten in here to place a ward down, so you actually, as Ferret, go, cool, I know exactly that I'm unseen here, and now it's just a question of where he wants to try and make that play. Juhan, as he said though, matching the play on towards bottom side of the map, I imagine he's going to try and hover in towards this bot side of the map just to make sure that Ferret can't get in, and Deft and BeryL can actually crash this wave, which they successfully do at the moment.
Yeah, so red Raptors Gromp is the path for Juhan. This is a 3-camp level 3. You have to kill one of the big camps, Krugs or Gromp, to get that one on a 3-camp clear. Red-blue doesn't do it. So chooses that one. Now going back to his blue just with more levels, but Trundle skips his red, flash already down, Pillar's gonna land on a Deft, and Maokai, while going for a 4th camp, they just can't get on the Deft anymore. Even though he had no flash, even though Pillar lands, Farfetch didn't have his E anymore. That's what blew the first flash, and DRX able to get out with just kind of, they're down a flash, but what's Square 2 gonna look like?
And that's the big thing, right? You still have the Hex Flash there for Farfetch, so he can still play quite aggressive. Ferret still has his own, so it definitely feels like now BeryL and Deft have to play significantly safe for Ferret, but upon Juhan as well.
Yeah, the problem is they don't have bot pressure right now. MF and Amumu are actually the ones pushing right now, so even though Juhan is kind of pushed around, now they've got the pressure, now they're gonna find the stun, and this could be enough to kill Amumu. The CC's gonna land, BeryL will drop first blood for the Wildcats.
Deft gonna take a lot of damage on the way out here as well. Phoenix feeling it, but will fly away at the end of that, and Serin having that control in the mid lane meant that Ferret was actually all good to go for it, so Istanbul Wildcats off to a great start here.
Amumu, just so squishy. Like, he does not survive the 2-on-2. Leona, after a shock, she's not going to hit back, so really, really nicely done. Something on the board. Bottom scuttle does go Ferret's way. Of course, he had skipped a lot of camps. He hasn't even touched his bottom jungle yet, whereas the Maokai's practically full cleared already.
But I think that's what you needed to do here for Ferret. We already said it, look, getting onto the board quick, making sure you're getting HolyPhoenix ahead is going to be the big win con. And the thing is, this isn't going to let up. You can just, especially with Ferret leaving a bunch of his camps in the spot side up, he can clear onto the top side, get that camp that's just respawning, and immediately move back down to this bottom lane and just continue that pressure on towards Deft and BeryL. And when we've seen Deft step up to be the main carry, be the guy that has been so crucial for DRX in regional playoffs, setting him behind and getting HolyPhoenix ahead feels like a great win condition for Istanbul Wildcats.
Zeka up in farm now in the mid lane. You can see 9 CS lead, though some to farm for Serin. Still looks really good. Both supports are around. They're going to try anyway. Ease backwards already. BeryL spotted, but Ferret's right here. Maokai was nearby. Probably wasn't really the play to take right then, as maybe the re-engage from Zeka onto Azir would have been too much. So no play in the mid lane. Wave will get accepted here, and he'll get almost all the farm. Drops a couple of casters, but not a big deal.
Good ward control from DRX around this mid lane as well. You can see they picked up Scuttle top side. There's a ward just on the wraparound bush at the back of blue. Everything was there for DRX to spot if there was anything unusual happening around Zeka in this mid lane. So Farfetch will just move back down to the bottom side, and Zeka again will just continue to farm it up. Already nice little bit of a CS lead as well with all the shenanigans that have been pushed in towards this mid lane.
Level 6 coming soon. The wave that crashes about 6 minutes is the one that gives you level 6. So 5:45 generally the timer for it. Keep that in mind. 6 minutes, people are level 6. There it is. Zeka takes that part of the wave, and he has the ulti. Suddenly lethality goes up a whole lot.
Yeah, I think at the moment, if DRX are able to kind of steady the ship on this bot lane, you can see Deft and BeryL actually have the wave in a really good spot at the moment, which makes it tough for Trundle to actually make any sort of play happen on this bottom side, especially as we talked about, right? Clearing from these respawn camps on the top side into bot. So at the moment, DRX playing safely around the fact that they're down some of their spells, and Juhan is here, but will spot Ferret.
And they see each other, but it's not going to mean too much right now. Yeah, sure, Ferret got to see some stuff, but yeah, eats the sapling, wants to get rid of the vision there. But able to help his bot lane shove it in. Looks like it's not even really an important recall timer. They've already got Noon Quiver. It was a recent recall. Maybe it's going to be a dragon play. Sweeper is on for Farfetch. Where are the wards? Can we get this one? You can see DRX plays the lane very aggressively, pushing up for it. Means they don't really get to play Drake because it'd be so easy for Amumu MF to show up. Zeka at level 6. It's Serin pushing the wave in. Juhan's already here, level 5 with the Maokai. Actually levels up onto Ferret. 2 camps ahead. Almost 6 for HolyPhoenix on the Kalista. That will be very important. Let's Farfetch get away with pretty much anything.
Nicely done by DRX though. So Deft and BeryL weather the storm with no summoner spells. They crash the wave as well, so they deny access to the dragon. Even having Zeka match the TP back from Serin into mid lane so he can match the wave state means Istanbul Wildcats can't actually grow their advantage in towards dragon. And now the big question is what happens when we move over towards the Rift Herald. A minute until that spawns, we still have decent control here in the river for DRX. Juhan as well, moving in to get further vision control.
Sapling could theoretically steal if Smite's not up. Looks like it's going to be fine though for the Trundle. He indeed claims it. No big problem there. Upgraded Smite there. Zeka making sure Juhan doesn't need any help. If there's a pillar play or something, nah, it's fine. You can see that DRX are overall farming better with the gold lead despite being down first blood. 10 in the top lane, 10 in the mid lane.
Very early reset from HolyPhoenix and Farfetch though. You can see they're actually going to make it back towards this bot wave right as the wave is going to crash from Deft and BeryL. So opportunity for BeryL to leave bot lane and have that first roam up towards the Rift Herald if they want to. And honestly, I think with the way that the map is set up at the moment, Juhan can potentially make a play in towards or up towards this top side or even towards mid lane if he wants to, using the fact that BeryL's there just to buy even more space. But looks like DRX going to take it nice and slow, without Deft really being in a position to crash that wave as quickly as he's hoping.
Kalista gets an idea that Maokai's probably not in that brush. They could have gotten around the vision cone. We do have Rift Herald spawning. And oftentimes we see that fight between 8 and 9 minutes that there's going to be a play to be had. Control wards in the bottom side still. Ferret will spot this one. He would like to go toward Deft. Doesn't get much for it. Supposed to be attack speed. Knocks that one down. We'll see if he looks at the Dragon Pit as well. Nice. Little double up there onto HolyPhoenix. And again, with their jungler around, Wildcats can have no problem going for the bot side. We see Leona starts it up, damages the minions, puts the sunlight down, and lets HolyPhoenix kill a little bit faster. But the bullet time's going to look pretty good. Good hop to the side, HolyPhoenix. With the presence of mind to Q, then sideways. Serin has mid-pressure with Akali under the tower. This Drake should be claimed. I mean, no MF I don't know how you win this fight, but DRX are walking up. They've got Akali now coming down as well. But is there a chance for a play? They know where BeryL is. A flash over the wall for the stun. They could lock down Amumu. He ults one, not even. He's going to be interrupted by Kalista, but Ferret now has to flash away. Akali's in. Zeka gets the kill, and the re-dive comes in. Serin can't get it, but HolyPhoenix is through for one. Ulti coming across for a bunch more. Kalista down for the double kill. HolyPhoenix still alive, but Juhan could lock him down. The flash in for Zeka gets another, and it's DRX winning this fight. They don't need bullet time. They've got the kills, and it's going to be 4-2 in the bottom river.
Istanbul Wildcats end up so separated on that fight, and DRX are able to deal with the piece by piece. Now a bunch of kills for Zeka in this mid lane. We talked about how good he is on the Akali. We're about to see it once more. So as we come into this, you see HolyPhoenix hops over the wall here with Farfetch to get on towards BeryL, but nobody from Ferret or Serin really wants to try and follow. Great ult from Juhan as well to keep the mid-jungle of Istanbul Wildcats in check. And now HolyPhoenix is just out of the fight, right? Zeka's able to get on towards the back line, and this is where it gets a little bit dangerous, but Deft and Serin, or Deft is able to take care of Serin alongside Zeka, and then they just chase down HolyPhoenix once more. So nicely done by DRX to kind of write themselves into a position where they could clean up that fight.
In the early game pressure, I understand the idea, right? Fight around the Kalista. We know there's no AD carry ultimate. We should have the power level for it. It doesn't happen. DRX comes away 1,000 gold ahead. Still a very fast shield bow, under 10 minutes. HolyPhoenix was the one to get not only the first blood from the gank, but both kills in this fight as well. So the strong AD carry still here, playing for the first dragon. This one, they're gonna try again for round 2. Missing one of the ults, but they've got Leona's. They land the stun. They've got a ton of damage and BeryL drops, but the bullet time is landed perfectly. Kill 1, 2, and 3. You thought you caught BeryL, but he baited you in. And another team fight goes to DRX.
They mistimed the ultimates because Deft had used it in the lane and out of the fight. the MissFortune is up in time for that next play, and that's another kill going over. The Dragon is gone. And I mean, this Rift Herald is still just sitting on the top side as well, so if DRX feel like they can try and move up towards that as well, with now 4 kills, a 10-stack Dark Seal for Zeka in this mid lane.
Oh yeah, he is huge. The roams have been great. He was the cleanup in the first and second fights now at 4-0 and 3, 100% kill participation. The entire bot side basically has that right now. BeryL, ooh. The cast minions moved a little bit weird. Could not get onto the first target. Could not find the play because of no flash, but ulti nearly would have been able to land. Serin's still poking away at Zeka, staying alive for now.
But again, we were kind of talking about for Istanbul Wildcats, they really wanted to try and use the mid and bot pro that they could get to look for these dragons, but unfortunately hasn't been the case. And again, just brilliant MissFortune coming through from Deft, position over the wall. Nobody's really able to deal any damage to him, and BeryL, even though he does go down, baits a very big overextension.
He's gonna try again. Stopwatch here, but isn't enough time because Deft coming around. No bullet time though. Ultis to buy a little bit. The auto's coming through. They re-stun. And Deft, can he kite away? He has cleanse, but will it matter? Zeka's on the way. They'll find the stun, but he cleanses it. And we're gonna get more kills. You tried your hardest, and it's not gonna matter. Kingen does not have flash. He gets the double hop off a minion. Buys a lot of space, but Ferret gets the slow. He should get the kill. Nah, he's gotta have it. You've gotta be able to reach him, and he does. 400 gold picked up.
Well, here comes Juhan, the 1v2 for the tree. I don't know if you win that one, but look, sometimes you just gotta look terrified, right?
I gotta say though, I love this build for Juhan. So Demonic Embrace is very good on Maokai because it turns out he has good AP ratios, he has some dots on the kit, he has low cooldowns. If you're a little bit ahead and you're like, let's make sure they die, Demonic is the item that's gonna kill him. Goodbye. Oh, the smite. Oh, that was pretty cute, but he still gets it despite the smite. There's a sapling, a little bit of AP. Thank you very much. Kill picked up. TY for leash, TY for domination. Stun coming across though. Maokai ult will be blocked for 1. A little bit of time there. Farfetch now no longer has the aftershock, but they can have Serin come in. Beautifully timed! Underneath the wall, he does not get pushed around. Farfetch is the front line, but he is low on health. W times out. Zeka could chase it in. Chooses not to. A flash to safety. HolyPhoenix chunked low. Here comes the rest of it. Zeka is godlike. A nice pickup there for Kingen. Bullet time over the top. Serin should drop. Cannot find the Akali kill. And StarScreen forced to run away. Ferret, yeah, he's in the base. Not going to mean anything. 13-5 now. DRX are walking over him.
So what is the earliest 25 stack majors we've had at once? Because we're getting really close to it. It's already 22 and we're not even 14 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it at under a minute before he finds the next kill. So I'm gonna put it at sub 15 minutes. He gets the 25 stack of guys.
That is, oh, Zeka's just popping off this game. This is definitely the performance that DRX wanted to show. And again, I mean, DRX, we already talked about it, right? Beating RNG. These guys look like the strongest team in the group, and they don't want to let anyone tear that down. Deft now just going to back away as Farfetch comes over the wall, but look, just look at the amount of vision that's on the map for them right now. The entire space is littered with red wards.
Deft went swifty. He's like, I just need to run away from pillar engages. A flash out for Ferret. Is that going to go in? R2 in a sec. Oh, this would kill him, so you can't go for it. Would be locked down every single time. Like Kalista and Leona doesn't give away the Magi stacks. Sadly, we were so close.
So
by the way,
30 seconds.
If he R2'd in her tower, he would get 25 stacks. He'd lose them, but I would have been right.
Yep. The technical right is the best.
Zeka is inting me. It's Schrodinger's 25 stacks because he could have ulted at that point in time, and, you know, might have been the case. Flash away for Deft. Nice sidestepping. Predicts where Farfetch is going to go. Still scoot backwards, though cannot outrun the soldiers. And a shutdown comes through. Kingen jumps in for Ferret. Can't get him yet, though. Pillar in the way. Not an easy way out. No flash, no hope, and shutdown again comes through now.
All right, nice job from Istanbul. Well, they end up spotting that Zeka's on the bot side. No TP, so Serin moves in towards the top side. Now, BeryL?
Gonna take demonic embrace damage and let him get the kill. He smites him. Q. Yeah! Juhan on the killing spree. Turret falls as well. Thank you, demonic embrace. Will keep running through his saplings when they come back from cooldown, but it's about to be in a 1 versus 3. Gets away from the first knockup. Still pushed around. No flash available. And as DRX play a lit, oh, that's a nice ult. The heal. Oh. Yeah, almost enough.
But now 10 seconds until Dragon, and there's no Juhan on the map, so Istanbul Wildcats, if they can get the reset, might be able to try and contest, but it's looking a little bit tough for them at the moment, just with everyone on DRX coming back out of the map. Zeka as well, still 7-0-6, but this is actually nice, right? They spot Zeka clearing the wave on bot side. Serin immediately TPs into the play because it's like, okay, well now at least we can try and force some sort of numbers advantage.
Yeah.
So nice job from Istanbul Wildcats to play the map out and spot where DRX had overextended it.
Overall, like the solar flare, because the only way to dodge it is to run like toward the ward your teammates like TPing to. So it's like, you can dodge my ult, but you just die to Azir if it happens. So I think even though it missed, and okay, it was sidestepped, column A, column B, it still worked very well. The chase down's fun. Never gets sapling into a brush, unfortunately. I probably, maybe should have thrown it a bit farther down, but they always get the kill. But enough time was bought that everyone else shows up.
And Juhan, unfortunately, not able to get out. I wasn't sure when I saw the BeryL ult and also the heal that he might have been able to get out, but
Yeah, pass is so strong. There's so much health on it.
you see it there.
180.
So close. I think if BeryL just caught the Kalista with that ultimate, the Curse the Sad Mummy as well, might have been able to get out, but either way, nicely done by Istanbul Wildcats. Still, though, a sizable goal lead for DRX. Second Dragon will go across to DRX as well. Looks like Ferret going to try and trade this with maybe a play on top side, but Kingen reading this, going to reset, but is he quick enough?
Yep, Pillar's easily there. He could have gotten with the auto attack, but makes the safe option. Flashes up there, gets away from the Ornn. Ferret, I think, didn't know how far into the recall he was, but he definitely had enough time, like from spectator vision, to auto and then save the Pillar, but didn't quite know. Pillar just have to recall, and it means that Flash is enough to get him out instead of Flash into Pillar killing him. But it is an objective bounty. It is a little bit more money into the pockets. Wildcats trying to catch as best they can, but about to lose a more important turret here in mid.
Yeah, maybe even bot as well. Zeka push it in there, but Serin just walks away. Should be fine here.
You don't want this one down. He's got a little bit too far to his team. You can W him, but you get always shoved back into the turret and die.
Look at the top side though. Istanbul Wildcats trying to set up a pick here. I really like that they're going for this.
Yeah, all right, Kingen. We know he's no Flash, but he's nearly Mega Gnar. That makes it so tough. Ferret's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll just play in this rush, look for Krugs. Maybe HolyPhoenix can beat Kingen. Oh, there's more going on though. Guess what? You got everybody coming across. The house is gonna land. You're walking up to the wall. The stun's gonna land, and you've got an Akali. Zeka gets the kill. Legendary, but on the bottom side, Deft is gonna drop, and Juhan gets some damage. Amumu can go for broke. Farfetch is tanky. Ignite. He needs to dodge the Q. He's gonna cry on him instead. Lands the bandage toss, and that man's gonna need to go to the hospital. You hack in 35 seconds. Farfetch. Nah, I don't know how you're gonna get away from this one. Oh, there's a blast point. You can execute. There's a sapling. Nah, they know. Oh, that is pretty beautiful. That is a nice attempt. Trying to get all the way back, but we know Juhan's going to catch him. Would love to hand over the assist. Can't do it.
Give it to the...
Oh.
Yeah. I thought he's going to give it to the Sav.
The Sav would have been funny.
But either way, I mean, look, we're still getting a lot of training back and forth.
No.
I'm not going to say that this game has been the most strategic one, but it's definitely been a hell of a lot of fun to see how this is going.
It was Istanbul Wildcats, like, playing towards their early game ahead bot lane and trying to take fights in the early game, and I get it. DRX like, we got ahead enough? Cool. Magi second item, like, let's just have some fun. We're going demonic. Like, he's not even finishing Sunfire. He's going Relanamakon now. Like, we're just getting AP Maokai.
Zeka just straight up bought a Shadow.
Oh, yeah.
Just like off rip. Yeah. Like, he is so fed. But again, DRX, like, all the towers are going down. They're still coming out ahead mostly in these trades. They're still getting the dragons, right? No Rift Chart to speak of, just with Barnabas spawn in 30 seconds, but either way, Istanbul Wildcats, I like that they're not just rolling over. They're actually trying to make these plays. They are exploiting the fact that DRX are like overextending the side lanes a little bit, so it's good to see them still trying their best to keep in touching distance. And if, for example, you end up with a bunch of kills on Serin, like an Ornn Azir in the late game is still going to be a very terrifying prospect.
Yeah, you still got a fun game out of it, and you're right, the scaling is there, so there is a world where DRX plays sloppily enough, the gold stays close enough, and we find ourselves with late game ornaments, Azir, the whole shebang. Problem is, you've still got a very large depth to play through. 2 Dragon Zero already on the way towards Inferno Soul to make the Akali even more threatening. On pace for a 27-minute soul attack.
DRX just starting to take over control of this top side. They know that Baron is up, so especially when they already have 2 dragons, being able to fluctuate between the Baron and the 3rd dragon, whether they want to take one or the other. And they don't traditionally have a composition that's going to be great at taking the Baron, but even if you can try and bait Istanbul Wildcats into position there, you can easily turn with the likes of Juhan there.
There we go, on to the Baron. Information gain doesn't matter. BeryL level 10 here on Amumu. Both the stun duration does not scale with rank. far as crowd control is concerned. BeryL is full power. And you can see they're like, you know what? We're not going to fight you for it. Amumu's in fog. Zeka's coming towards us. You know what? It's yours. Just take it. Give you that one. No big deal. Mid-wave claimed. Dragon up in 1 minute, and StarScreen may have waited around for too long. He kind of sat there, like, with S pressed for a while. Maybe this will be a team fight. Ornn is going to catch a lot of people in a corridor. They get a double stun, but it's not going to mean much.
Yeah, just trying to back away here. So nicely done by DRX. We kind of talked about it. It's not exactly the quickest Baron take in the world, but they knew they were very capable of turning as soon as they got that opportunity. I like that Juhan has just completely abandoned any tank item, and all is going for the Trundle Nobicon now as well. So definitely DRX feeling comfortable with this one. Baron in tow. The side lane opportunities for Zeka and Kingen now are absolutely sky high. And again, this is a dominating performance from the team that has been number one in this group.
3-0 versus 0-3 pretty soon. You have to get into top 4 if you want to stay alive for the knockout stage of the play-ins. Wildcats with only 2 games to play, need wins, and probably both, most likely both of their last 2 games if they can't come back into this one to stay alive in the tournament.
And look, at least for Istanbul Wildcats, right, this isn't exactly a fight that they were ever expected to win, right? But they're still a team that has a lot of pride, especially for the Turkish region. Like, Galatasaray lost the Beyond Gaming Worlds 2021, which meant that they didn't get into groups, and then MSI was supposed to be the redemption arc for the Turkish region, but unfortunately only able to pick up 1 win against Red Cannons. Istanbul Wildcats weren't quite able to do the TCL proud, but still, Istanbul Wildcats, like, they are a team that has represented the TCL 3 out of the 4 splits that this team has been together, so it's definitely one that is synonymous with the TCL. We just have to see if they can find their reputation against some of the other teams.
I'm gonna try right now. Here we go, a 4v1, but Zeka jumps around, jumps over, gets knocked up, but will it matter? He's still holding on to his final charge R2 and indeed gets out.
I wasn't sure what just happened there.
So HolyPhoenix landed his E, but got yoinked back by Kalista, so he didn't follow his target to like set up a stun combo. End of the day, again, R2 is being held by Akali, who's pretty much always gonna get out from that one. And now we get to see a little bit more happening right now. Obviously the 3rd Drake was claimed no problem. 4th one in just over 4 minutes. Kingen holds the front line for now, not an easy target. Pretty tanky, 2.5 items. The half item being a stopwatch, pretty strong to be honest. And not gonna be a problem here, DRX. Happy to keep going. We see a side lane play now as Akali likes to finish the tower. Will do so, and Ornn says, okay, I understand. It's all yours.
Yeah, Zeka just keeping pressure onto that top side. He's going to pick up the blue buff as the rest of DRX start to push on in. You even got the Kingen stopping his reset as well, just to keep up pressure on this bot lane inhibitor. So trying to milk as much as possible out of this Red Bull Baron power play. Only 10 seconds left, but I mean, they should be able to get both of the inhibitors regardless.
Waves go down. Feeling good. Farfetch gonna look to change, but yeah, Falcon Mega Gnar has a stopwatch. He's gonna try. Here we go, the chance at a 3 versus 1. BeryL coming around, not a big deal himself as the flash is down, the stopwatch dodges the stun. There's now a dive into the base itself. They'll find one and have to collect themselves and answer the push. The inhibitors had not yet been killed. Top lane is pushed in. Mid inhib will drop to Deft, and now Zeka would like this fight. Farfetch has no cooldowns. HolyPhoenix about to have no life left. Legendary for Zeka. The 20 pack Majai is doing a lot there. Gets a second now as well. Bot lane for Wildcats is dead as they push for the base.
HolyPhoenix says holy moly as Zeka absolutely decimates him. Now DRX starting to push on through. And there are no helpers. I mean, Juhan and Zeka not exactly at their looking their best or peak performance, so DRX will just back away, happy that they could get both the inhibitors and make that top lane look very shaky as well.
Yeah, still feeling like a DRX likely. Ooh, I like this knockup. Zeka, though, actually gets knocked out of his E, so a chance here for StarScreen, but there are reinforcements. Juhan is here. Mumo's gonna land on a 2 as well. Zeka's gonna have the cooldowns. Yes, he does. Dives in, kills the Azir. Ulti not gonna do much of anything. StarScreen now running back. BeryL's starting to be up relatively soon. Where's he walking? All right. This Ornn is far away. The pillar. A little bit more time.
I want the bloodthirsty support. I need it in my life, but I mean, Kingen and the rest are just taking the base.
And there we go, nearly the kill. Kalista ult gonna find that first stun, maybe. Zeka knocked up, and Trundle goes down. Ulti still burned to stay alive. No, that is the shot by BeryL. Knocked back over. Ignite is on. He's crying and he's gonna die. BeryL gets the solo kill on StarScreen.
And that is the real play of the game right there. BeryL for MVP, as now they go into the turrets.
And they'll get the last couple. Nice stop on HolyPhoenix, but Juhan, Q. Thank you, Demonic Embrace. Thank you, AP Ratio. Thank you, Extra Kill. 24-10 DRX. And made it an entertaining game. The first 10 minutes, they got the lead. The early scraps went their way, and they made a show out of it. Turrets will fall. Nexus will drop. DRX get their third win.
And we're going to have to ask who put Zeka as the highest KDA, because 11-0-8 coming out of that one. Even actually padding the scoreline a little bit more. Zeka really want to make sure he gets his name on the scorecard.
Well, very well done. Unexpected result, to be fair, but I'm glad of the way it happened. I think Wildcats had a strategy in mind. I don't think it was an unsound sort of tactical set of choices, but execution was so much better every time. Just DRX played those fights out better, and they got the lead, had a bit of fun with it.
But I gotta say, like, I like some of the answers that Istanbul Wildcats came in with, right? Look, they fell behind, don't get me wrong, but being able to, make that TP in towards mid lane, catch Deft when he's overextended, like, there's so many teams that are in that position just kind of roll over and let the game happen and play out, but Istanbul Wildcats tried their best to make any sort of comeback, and I think you can kind of just see, look, DRX a level above so many of the teams that are in this tournament, in the play-in stages. It's hard to try and go up against some of the behemoths that are here.
Yeah, it really is. So 3-0, alone at undefeated. A game ahead of Mad Lions, a game ahead of Saigon Buffalo. RNG, of course, 3 to flight. So we'll see how much catching up they can do as time goes on. But we're running out of teams who are able to beat DRX at this point. They got Mad Lions, they got Isserus. If it oh no, sorry, Mad Lions already was that one. So looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It does just look like at this stage it's going to be DRX advancing into that first place spot, which means they automatically qualify for groups, and there's going to be a lot of teams that are kind of scratching their heads against teams like RNG and even Mad Lions if they're to make it, and see if they can try and punish them in that qualifying stage. But yeah, really great performance from DRX across, not even just today, yesterday as well. They've just been phenomenal.
Yeah, they really have. It's cool to see, and it means that, LCK. It's kind of funny because if you look back at the last, 4 or 5 years Professional League of Legends, you look at who got the trophy, and it's LPL 6 out of 8. There's a G2 in there, there's a Dom 1 in there, and the entire rest of it's the LPL. And it's sometimes first seed, sometimes second seed, sometimes third, mostly MSIs at this point. And you're okay, well, clearly LPL's a stacked region. They're the ones where 1, 2, 3, or 4, it's always them. And it just feels like the conversation I see is well, yeah, Gen G's up there. Yeah, they stomped, and you look, back at T1, it's well, T1 stomped, but no one else. And it's turns out that LCK4 is still clapping everyone every time, and it's they're actually good every time.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing is although LPL has been an incredibly strong region when it comes to number ones, we've definitely seen it has been that rivalry between LPL and LCK that has dominated every conversation coming into these international events.
Yeah, so with that, DRX take full control of Group B, while Istanbul Wildcats will continue their hunt for a victory tomorrow. To find out more, let's close up the day with World's Cooldown.
Thank you so much, Freak and Dagda. Welcome to World's Cooldown. Before we dive into some of the more conversational topics, I think I do want to just remind everybody of some of the games that we have seen today. So we've prepared for you a Day 2 highlight reel. This will feature 7 out of the 8 games because one of them will be a talking point for a little bit later. And we started off with Fnatic taking on DFM. And Chronicler, I know you are so enthused to talk to me about this matchup. What was it like from your perspective?
Well, this is the start of not only the day, but also the process of me getting more and more bullied as we went on.
Chronicler right now is sleep talking.
I also want to highlight, I think Fnatic here again showcased that they are very far ahead of everyone else in this group. There were a lot of question marks, not because of the level of play, but just because of the circumstances that they found themselves in coming into the tournament. And they have shown that it doesn't really look like anyone in Group A comes even remotely close to challenging them. We even got a little bit of a hilly moment, which I thought was great.
Yes.
Yeah, and taking a look at the Loud performance versus Evil Geniuses, JoJo just had an amazing day overall, taking a step back, looking at it, and just seeing that solo kill from the Akali's perspective there. Just great job from JoJo. Even the interview, just kind of highlighting his respect for the teammates and just their growth overall.
And I think the Observer's smurfing almost as good as Jojo did. That was a sick League Director play. I mean, obviously, EG managed to pick up their first win here at the top of the day. Both NA and EU had to hard fight for that just a little bit. We turn our attention to Saigon Buffalo taking on Isris, that Zillion top. It was fun to watch, Rez. I know some of the LCO players and fan base were talking about celebrating, like, yeah, you know, that's the thing we've done before. Yep. I'm really happy. I ultimately didn't really help against the Buffaloes. Yeah,
Shogun put up a clinic, being able to pick up a pentakill, a second of, at that point of the tournament. So it was really nice to see, and it capped off what was a really good part of the day for the Saigon Buffaloes.
And it was also in classic Saigon Buffalo style. Also, I personally enjoyed a little bit of vintage LCK player Azir. Of course, any Gnar Green Wings fan will remember that they found themselves in disadvantaged positions very often.
Rez, remind me to quote this at the end of this clip. Okay?
Oh, I remember that.
I want to come back
Yeah,
to
well,
judgment
it wasn't the case here because DFM actually was ahead for about 25 minutes, then made like 3 mistakes, and then we're like, okay, no, we're actually.
The game's now done.
Yeah,
it's time to end it now. It's time to end it now. Well, we turn our attention now to this was Beyond Gaming taking on Evil Geniuses. Chronicle, I'm going to stick with you a little bit.
Sure you are.
The opening, 8-10 minutes of the game, EG really pulled significantly ahead, and then the tempo slowed down. I felt like a lot of fans and viewers at home were a bit critical of that slowdown in pace. I quite like your take about it being respectful. Where do you land now with a little bit more time to reflect on and think about it?
I think it's fine. In any best of one scenario, I would just never take the risk. Like, people might clown you for it, but at the end of the day, all that matters is you get the win. As long as you know that you can maybe speed it up, you can try and accelerate and play it a little bit cleaner, not make mistakes, and you'll be fine. I don't wanna, this was...
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm not gonna let you fall on that one.
I will say, though, still nice to see. I like the point. It shows that Evil Genius is respecting Beyond Gaming, knowing that any mess up there could really turn the tide. So overall, a good idea. But as the day went on, you got to see a little bit more scrapping.
Yeah, we did. As I gotta say, the final game of the day actually got very, very out of control with DRX. Going for probably the most questionable item build we've seen thus far. The Demonic Embrace was like, yeah, that's fun. And then they built Morelos, and that was not fun.
You know what this reminded me of?
Tell me.
It reminded me of the Lizard Wizard. Darian, the moment you know that game is over. The moment you know that game is over.
That is amazing. Okay, so Rez, did you hear correctly? Did I hear Chronicle saying that, like, he's a fan of Yarang, he's like quoting LCK performance, it's like, you know, was it Gnar that he played for that?
Word for word.
So you're claiming that player, right? And you're gonna give me sass when you said to me before we were on air that DRX is the 5th LPL team, and so that's double standards, Chronicle. How can you do that?
I'm quite appalled.
I mean, Lyric heard it. He quoted it yesterday. So I just want to understand why can it work for Yarang but not for DRX and RNG and LPL?
I would personally prefer if... oh, that did touch us?
Yeah, it does.
Well, I personally want to make clear that I do not appreciate you putting words in my mouth. I have never claimed and will not claim any LCK player that goes to another region. You know, power to them. I know Lyric and you have been trying to get a rouse out of me by pretending to claim DRX.
Apparently successfully.
No, it's not successfully.
Okay,
it's not.
I will formally and officially apologize to Chronicler. My bad. We've had a lot of fun today. Josh has been great.
I'd like to finish just very shortly. I think DRX has been doing great, and I'm very proud of them.
Let's go!
Let's go as an LPL 5th seed. Now, we are wrapped up with day 2. I have a few talking points I want to focus, obviously, as we are the English broadcast, looking about North America, Europe, and Oceania. Quickly starting with the Chiefs. Of course, when I look at the Chiefs' performance today, you know, losing to Detonation focused me as a team, struggling a little bit yesterday with that loss as well. Things are looking a little tough for the Chiefs. Still 2 days to play through and figuring out whether or not they'll be able to take down some of the rest of the teams in their group. And we'll turn our attention now to the North American representatives today. EG 2-0. Raz, good bounce back from yesterday. Kind of slow start in game 1, win. Confident win in game 2. What do you make of the performance today?
Really solid, and especially since it was through mid-jungle, something that they faltered versus Fnatic just yesterday. And so it felt really good to be able to see, hey, Jojo Pian and Inspired really taking over, and also really kind of getting into the meta, specifically really understanding the value of Maokai. Also the Akali pick, which we saw Zeka perform exceptionally on. Feels like the champion pool right now is firmly in Jojo Pyun's court, so I'd like to be able to see how they play around that, if that's a consistent thing, if they played a little bit more towards Kaori as well, because Kaori and his Kalista pick was something that they really found good value in the early game versus Fnatic, but, or at least like, I mean, earlier today. So all in all, for me, it's an A. I like it.
Yeah, nothing to add. I think EG played much more like the EG, and that's kind of a recurring theme of today. I think RNG was another example where they're actually playing like the team that you'd expect them to be. And I think it makes sense in the, something you need a little bit of warm-up to really get to where you should be.
I mean, very interested to see how these groups are going to play out. Still 2 more days of games, but of course with EG, looking at the likes of Beyond, DFM, Loud, Chiefs, who's going to join them in playoffs. I'm going to come to you now, Chronicler. Mad Lions versus RNG. What are the key takeaways here? I think Mad Lions, the first loss for Europe on the stage. RNG bouncing back after the defeat yesterday. Confident win, strong win. There was a few moments where Mad Lions kind of put up a bit of a fight, but as we heard from Mac, ultimately, as soon as Wei got a little bit ahead, he just dumpstered at that Graves.
He did. I think that individually, in terms of skirmishing, it's kind of what we've seen Mad do against minor regions.
Yeah.
Is now what RNG did to Mad, where there's a couple of good moments. You have some Armut in this game in particular, found a couple of great angles on his Aatrox. But by and large, the map movement, the execution and confidence in the fights, it's just an RNG that we've seen very often, and I think pretty much the reason why they're as respected as they are. And Mad were clearly not equipped to deal with it.
Yeah, and kind of adding to that, really loved the Mac interview with Lore, where he talks about, sure, the game felt unwinnable at a certain point, but mostly talking about how the first 8 minutes was doing really well for them.
Yeah.
And for you to be able to like push forward and find growth, retaining what has been so good for you, at least in a game like this, so you can see at least some positives, building on that, and obviously just addressing the fact that, at least for your bot lane, it felt really unwinnable when they were getting frozen on.
As the European representative sitting at this area, whenever I have to sit and listen, hear a coach talk about those first 8 minutes, they went so well. I think that is the textbook definition of hopium as far as I am concerned. Finding the silver lining, I concur. I do agree, but that is going to be concerning. And when you think about the fact that RNG have now played the two strongest, theoretical strongest teams in the group, in Mad Lions as well as DRX, RNG can now maybe look to battle DRX for that first spot. If DRX drop a Magic game, don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Of course, Mad Lions play them on the last day of groups, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Before we do look a little bit ahead, I've got one last topic to talk about. Before that, let's hear from Xiaohu as he spoke to Law a little earlier today.
Thank you, Quick Shot. We're back in Mexico for the Verizon post-game interview here with Xiaohu and Iris. Ni hao. Thank you so much for joining me, and congrats on taking down my team earlier today. It's a super strong start for RNG now at Worlds 2022. How do you reflect on the games you had?
首先恭喜你们拿下了对阵到 Mad Lions 的一个比赛嘛，感觉是一个很不错的一个开始。所以说，对于这场比赛你是怎么看呢？
这场比赛的话，我们也选到了自己想要的阵容吧，然后就是可能在游戏过程中出现了一些小问题吧，但是结局的话还是顺利赢下来的。
Basically, we had all the champions that we wanted at the very beginning. So even though we had some little mistakes during the game, but it was a very smooth game for us.
Amazing.
As long as it's sold.
Yeah, of course. Any words you can tell me about the game versus DRX yesterday?
那有没有针对昨天对阵到 Dragon X 的比赛的一个看法呢？
昨天的吗？
对。
我觉得昨天就是对阵 DS 的比赛的话，我认为他们的 BP 是准备的比我们的更要充足的吧。然后就是我们可能在一些阵容选择上，可能就是没有对面选择的好。
For yesterday's, I would definitely say Dragon X had a better preparation around the pick and ban phase than us. So I think their pick and ban phase is did a good job there than us.
I see, but still, strong start for the team, and the expectation is high, especially given the fact that you're coming back as the MSI winners. How does this affect you, the fact that people expect a lot from RNG here in Plains?
那可能很多人都会对你们的期待非常非常的高，因为毕竟你们是以一个 MSI 的冠军这样的身份来到入围赛的，所以说其实对于你来讲会有什么样的感受呢？说压力啊，或者说还是有其他的一些感受呢？
其实也没什么压力吧，因为我觉得作为 LPL 的4号种子，就是过来打这个入围赛是肯定要出现的吧，
I won't say I felt extra pressure for this because as the 4th seed of LPL, I would say we have to definitely advance to groups.
Of course, people expect you, and also no pressure given the fact that you're so experienced here in the international stage. And I even know that sometimes the community calls you and Ming the mom and dad of RNG. Can you talk me through the responsibilities you have for the team?
有时候可能他会注意到嘛，在社交媒体上面，可能有些粉丝会说，好像你跟小明是担任着队内的这样的一个父亲跟母亲这样的一个角色，所以你会怎么觉得，或者怎么看待自己目前在队伍里面这样的一个角色呢？包括说正在承担的责任。
因为不仅是我们，就是 LPL 很多队伍都是基本上是一个老带新的一个搭配吧。然后的话，就是我们就会可能帮新人做一些战术上或者心态上的，就是或者是指挥上的一些，就是交给他们吧。然后，对，就大概这样。
So not only our team is actually it's the fact that a lot of teams in the LPL are having the combination of veterans and rookies. So basically, we're just teaching the rookies a lot of aspects and details in the game or outside the game, like the mentality, like the details. So basically, it's just what we did.
Teaching the new kids and also still playing at the top. That's impressive. Xiaohu, Xie for the interview. Iris, thank you so much for the translation. And quick shot, back to you.
Thank you so much, Law. Another fantastic interview here at World's Play-Ins. Chronicler, what did you make of the interview, as well as what do you read into the comments around picks and bans that yesterday DRX had a better draft? Because I know you were a Vi enjoyer, fan, supporter. The Nila was like question mark to me. It's only been 2 games here at RNG. I'm intrigued to see whether or not they dabble in those picks throughout the course of play-ins and then presumably groups too. But it was wildly different to anything else we saw on the day.
Yeah, I think Xiao is a good point. The draft was where DRX got the biggest edge. I'd still say that if you make these teams play a best of 3 or best of 1, it's probably pretty even in the best of 5 scenarios. That's where I think it gets really interesting. And on top form, RNG is always going to be a force to be reckoned with. So yeah, thought it was a fun interview. It's always really nice to hear from Xiao.
If DRX win the group, in theory, RNG Mad Lions favored to be second, third, means we might going to see them in playoffs, potentially. Then we'll have to see what happens. Okay, just before we wrap the day up, as I have been bullying my analysts all day,
you have been.
I'm going to make one more joke. These will be the games on the docket for tomorrow. 8 more matches coming your way. The B tier analyst desk is going to be out. I know some guy named Jat, this dude named like DoorDash or whatever it is, and some musical note will be here. They'll be guiding you through all of those games starting once again 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And of course, our Challenger tier analyst desk from today at the top of the show, play a little game, 90, 50, 10. And one of the rules for the 50 was that in a coin flip scenario, a coin flip that you know is going to win, right? So it's more like 51-49. What scenario is going to happen? Even though it's 50-50, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Raz, can you remind me, what was it that you said was going to happen on your 50-50?
That Detonation Focus Me would not win a game.
Okay, could I draw everyone's attention to the screens behind me? What happened today?
Here? Oh, no! Oh, let's go. No, I don't think so.
Good night, Raz. Good night.
Nope. Not happening.
Ladies, gentlemen,
get
and
the camera off of it.
Everybody else, wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is where you are, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for sticking with us, as well as to everybody in Mexico City who helped work on and improve on all those challenges we had from yesterday. Thank you so much from myself, the casters, the entire broadcast crew. Thank you for watching. We will see you tomorrow with DoorDash or whatever. Good night. We love you. We love League of Legends.
That was pretty close. That was pretty close. I don't know.